Oh hey, are you a low-key pyro who loves a delusional DIY? Then let's build my new fireplace. That was pretty cool, huh? Okay. Welcome back to Laugh Cry DIY. I am your host, Katie, and I am so freaking excited about today's episode because if there's one thing you should know about me, it is that I love fire. I collect vintage matches, I collect vintage lighters, I love a fire, and I live in Los Angeles, and I love that there are so many cute apartments in LA that have a darling little fireplace. However, I have never lived in one of those apartments, and therefore I have to get my fireplace fixed in other creative ways. In my last apartment, I did build a foam fireplace out of a little alcove. That was super cute. We used battery operated candles. However, it is my life's dream to be able to use real open flame candles in a fireplace. But as a renter, that is not usually an option. Usually the best you can do is just get a little electric kind of unit. Until today. Imagine my surprise when I was scrolling Facebook Marketplace looking potentially for an electric unit to adapt, and I saw something shocking, which was this, an antique Victorian fireplace inset. I thought it was so cool, so pretty, but I thought, well, there's nothing I can do with that, or is there? And so I went ahead and got her. I hope you guys are ready to meet the star of today's episode. Folks, please meet Miss Victoriana. This is a beautiful Victorian era 1870s, possibly 1890s fireplace insert. It's cast iron, it features this beautiful decorative inlay, but as you can see, it is in pretty rough shape. Now, this would have been used likely for coal burning back in the day. She has clearly been through a lot, and life and time has stolen her spark and beauty, and can't we all relate to that? But I do think we can do some cool stuff to bring her back to life. However, we are facing quite a few moments of hell with this project. First of all, she's actually lost a lot of her original parts. I will show a side-by-side here of what these actually look like. She would have had a grate around the front, possibly a little drawer on the bottom. She would have had a back piece, but it is now all corroded, warped, and weird. So this is one of those pieces that is too beautiful to send to a landfill, but can't actually ever probably be back to its original function because it's just corroded and lost too much. But that's also exactly why I wanted to save her and do something cool. Now, although we are not going to rebuild her, she is cast iron, which means what? I can use candles with real flames, finally. So first step, we are going to bring her back to life by cleaning her up and painting her. And now folks, let's talk about lead. So my biggest fear with her was that she would have lead paint, and in theory, she should. But I have done several different lead tests all over in different ways, and it didn't show up. That said, she's beautiful, but I don't trust her. So we are gonna tread lightly here. You don't wanna disturb lead paint, and you certainly don't want to ingest it, so it's best to just let it be or have professionals deal with it if it is lead paint. Again, this testing says it's not, but I'm going to proceed as though it is. So normally I would do a ton of scrubbing, I'd get a wire brush out, but I'm going to go very soft. We're just gonna do a little soft bristle scrub down, and I'm going to wear protective gear to do that. Specifically, a respirator. And yeah, we have to do this in my bathtub because I don't have access to a hose right now. I'm also gonna put eyewear on and gloves. All right, we are as clean as we're gonna be. And luckily I didn't see too much significant paint chipping or anything like that. So we are going to paint this. Usually when painting anything, you would want to sand it down and prime it to make sure that the paint really sticks. I don't want to do that with this because again, I don't want to disturb the paint that much. And traditionally they would have polished these things with something called black lead, which was not actually lead, it was graphite. Very confusing, but there's a lot of detail in here and I didn't want to, again, rub in and disturb and chip off anything that I didn't want to be chipped off. So I decided I'm gonna go in with a spray paint. However, this is not your normal spray paint. This is specifically high heat spray paint made for barbecues, grills, things like that. One common mistake people make when they're doing any fireplace restoration is painting with regular paint, and that is not your ideal. You want a high heat paint. Safety. Okay, fireplace inset is cleaned and painted. It looks really beautiful and the details pop even more, so I'm really excited about that. But now it is time to build the full fireplace surround system. So here was my simple idea. I wanted to build a very simple little surround mantle, as well as like another little faux face for this, and then pop that inset in there. But I did want to make sure that the scale of the fireplace surround was nice and sizable, but that it wouldn't dwarf the little inset, because actually that inset, again, being made for coal or whatever, is pretty narrow. So I wanted something that felt sizable, but that wouldn't overpower it. So I got the scale right, but then I realized, oh, actually, I might want to do something a little more snazzy than just a simple plywood front. Why not add tile around the little inset? But then I was like, wait, we gotta go more realistic. Let's also add a little tiled hearth on the floor in front of it to add some more drama. So I very carefully measured this out, and pro tip, if you're building anything out of wood, always build it out of cardboard first. So I went and I painstakingly cut out all of the cardboard pieces. Then I taped it all together to make sure that the vision was correct, because when you're doing DIY, every part of a project will always try to sabotage you, and you won't realize it until it's too late. So I highly recommend building out of cardboard so that you can see that your vision is cool and perfect and complete and works measurement-wise. Because as soon as you do that, you're gonna totally change your plan. Because I stumbled upon this incredible picture of a fireplace by 20th Century Fireplaces, which is a UK manufacturer that specializes in antique fireplaces and reproductions. Lately, I'm feeling very inspired by Art Deco, by Mayan Revival. So as soon as I saw this, my jaw dropped. And according to the manufacturer, this is a reproduction of a 1920s blueprint inspired by the curves of the Chrysler Building. So now, after 7 different blueprints, I had to go back to the lumberyard 3 separate times to cut and recut the correct measurements for my design. I did rebuild this again in cardboard just to make sure it was gonna work. And now we are ready to shape it together. Are you guys feeling nervous and scared because we've invested a lot up to this point? Me too. First things first, we are going to cut out this little corner right here, which again is going to go over the crown molding. I have a little template right here, and we're just gonna make sure for the billionth time that this does in fact fit correctly over the crown molding. So we're just tracing that right on, and we're gonna not do them on the wrong side. And we're clamping, and I'm just taking my little cutter tool, and I'm just doing clean cuts for all the pieces. Okay, next up, it is time to cut those little gorgeous, sensual, beautiful little drop shoulder curves on the side panels. So I am a big fan of doing things neatly but lazily. So here's what I have. I got this cute little bowl. I marked it with these little washi tape pieces so that when I come to a corner, I can line it up the same way each time. And of course, the big challenge is to make sure the curves are going the right way on the right steps, facing each other, descending in the correct order. Do you guys see why every project is trying to kill us? And you better believe we gotta retrace some of these. I do really like the slope on that. Kind of, sort of sexy, very shouldery. Do you see it? Could I have a messier workstation? Okay, now we are going to clamp these off and jigsaw them down. You guys, look how sexy. Look how sexy those shoulders are. We gotta sand them down, but we gotta do some more cutting first. But those are absolutely beautiful. All right, next up, we need to cut this big boy, and we need to cut the inset out of it. So our template, boom, and we're tracing. Does the inset work? Almost. We have to trim this off a little bit. Weird. Okay. And now we need to do some major sanding to shape things before they get painted. Okay, now we are going to assemble the side legs, and we have this like stepped stair pattern. that is going to correlate with each little sexy shoulder. So I'm gonna use a mix of wood glue and screws to screw these little tiers together, and then we can assemble them all in one and get them to stand. Again, we hope. Hi friends, it's the next day, and I'd like to take a moment to talk to you about not pushing through on projects late night when you're overwhelmed and kind of a little off. The good news is, all of my wood gluing and clamping and stuff totally worked. Yay. The bad news is, I wood glued things incorrectly and now I cannot get them out. And in my defense, this is complicated. Let me show you. This is the design, okay? These curved pieces are here and it wraps around in these stepped up little tiers. Fortunately, I did cut all the curved pieces beautifully. They look gorgeous. They're nice and uniform, but I was supposed to stagger them out because they were supposed to meet on the edges, but do you see? They don't. And I hate myself even more because I had these like beautifully tiered and stacked, and I did a mirror image. So I thought for the other side. However, I put them staggering out the wrong way. And in untangling what went wrong, I also realized that I probably chose the dumbest and most complicated way to assemble these, and therefore totally screwed myself. So here's the situation. So basically, I had to Frankenstein everything together. I had to cut down a bunch of different little pieces of wood. Then I had to kind of awkwardly puzzle piece them in where I could. I made sure to wood glue those, and I just used some painter's tape as a clamp. Then I still had gaps and I had lost my mind, so I just started filling those in with hot glue just so that I could build up enough of a bridge to then put in all this wood filler around to try to shape out the little shapes. And now you can see it looks like this crazy little Frankenstein together bit. And then we are going to reinforce these with little corner braces all around. The only saving grace in this of just messing this up so much is that I did realize some of the boards are bowed, so it actually wouldn't have like perfectly fit together the way I wanted to anyways, and I'm just really trying to convince myself that this was gonna be inevitable either way. Now, while that all dries, it is time to build my quick little mantle top. And I'm just going to create a simple little like box with the sides to just simply sit right on top of the fireplace surround. Okay, you can see my little box just coming together right there. I'm just adding a few of these little corner braces all around, just to make sure this is nice and strong. Okay guys, it's been days of filling, gluing, patching, sanding, filling, sanding, and I have to stop. So we are finally almost ready to paint, but before we do need to add some reinforcements in some other places. Although these are nice sturdy little corners, we do need them to have a little more reinforcement. So we are going to add this extra back panel as its extra little leg, see? And then from the side, see? Now, obviously we're putting this in for reinforcement, it needs a leg, but also because the construction of this is this cool like stepped pattern. And so the mantelpiece that's gonna go on top of this is not just gonna go flush, it is also going to appear stepped out of the design. So we need something for this to like sit on. Basically, I need the mantle to sit a little bit inside this portion so that it looks like it also is stepped and tiered out. This does not make sense, but just, you'll see what I'm gonna do. All right, so I'm marking out and we're making sure this is level and we are screwing in. Now I'm gonna add this side in with these little corner braces, and that's gonna be a pain because this is a tight space, so I'm not gonna film that, but I'll show you what happens when we do this. Okay guys, look, these are now freestanding. And now we can put our top on. Guys, okay, look how it steps out and then it lifts out of it. It's so good. And now it is finally time, after so much cutting, patching, sanding, to paint them. And to be honest, I think I might paint this whole thing another color in the future. But to start, we're gonna do something absolutely shocking on this channel, and we're just gonna paint this white. And you know what, you guys? After everything we've been through, we are not gonna have any drips on these freaking edges, making it look like a dripped ass cake. I'm so annoyed. Okay, I'm gonna do 2 coats of primer, 2 coats of white. It's white, guys. We don't need to fill more and more layers. I'm also gonna top coat it with a polyurethane for some more durability. But I think we can move on now to our next final little bit. All right, guys, we're painted. We're getting so close. And as you will recall, I had wanted to do a kind of tile situation on the faux hearth and on the little inset piece. And before we go on, I will say that something happened. Wouldn't it be funny if that just broke to hell? We added some braces and we glued over. It's gonna be fine. But now, let's have a little tile talk. When I envisioned this, I wanted some sort of beautiful Art Deco-y, rich kind of like emerald green, maybe patterned tile. And I went on such a deep dive and learned, number one, how incredibly expensive patterned tile is. Number two, I looked everywhere for a design that really resonated with me and I couldn't find anything. And I am so crazy that I thought, maybe I'll just make my own. So I got a bunch of unglazed tile, I got a million paints, and I just started doing all these just test crazy designs. I could not figure out a pattern, couldn't even figure out a color. Also, getting a consistent color between paints and paint pens and everything was really, really difficult. So I decided, girl, quit being manic and let's go and let's look for something potentially peel and stick. And that is how we ended up with this. It is this really beautiful, rich emerald green color. There is some color variation, which I liked. It is also textured, and you can even see it's like high gloss, but you can hear like, it is 3D printed. It's peel and stick, which is easy. It also makes it easier to cut around that curved inset because yeah, I was gonna have to cut curved tile and yeah, I'm crazy. So let's just start to get this on and see what we're looking like. Oh, but before we do, I wanna point out that I intend to lay it this way with the fan shape up as opposed to this way with the fan shape down. To me, that is because that this is fish scale and that, I don't know why, irks me. And this feels more like fans or like peacock feathers, which is an ongoing theme in my life. And so we're gonna do up, facing up. Yes, all right. We're sticking. We're looking even. I think I am happy with this. And now we're going to do the hearth. Good news, it's done. Bad news, I ran out of tile, but I did fill in all the other little parts that are gonna show most importantly, so I think we're okay in that sense. Here's how the system works. We have our hearth. We have corner 1, boom. Corner 2, boom. And we have our inset, which, by the way, when I built these, I created the littlest little lip on the inside so that this could rest against it. Then we place our inset in. Then we slide this right in over it. All right, we're adjusting. Okay, so it's all in there, right? But the only thing is that if you can look up close, we do have this raw edge where obviously the tile ends and the cutout begins. So I wanted to come up with some way to cover this if possible. So what I did was I found this little peel and stick trim. You can get this on Amazon, I'll have it linked below. And I went ahead and spray painted it. And now we can actually place that right over this seam, right all around. And you can see because it's like this textured decorative edge, it totally looks like it's part of the original design. I have to say, I'm very proud of this hack, but I'm actually not gonna put it on until it's in its final resting place because I don't want it to pop off in moving and blah, blah, blah. But you guys get it, and hopefully that works. So we are almost done. However, we do have one remaining moment of hell, which is this dead, open space. It looks so fake and lame because you can just see right through it to the wall. But I did have a brilliant idea, which was, hold please, I can just take a mirror and pop that down. When you add candles and you get those flames, the flames reflect. So however many candles you have in here, you double the reflection, double the light, double the brilliance. I have to say, for as stupid as I am at different parts of this project, this is probably one of my favorite things I've ever come up with. Now lastly, before I show you our big final grand reveal, I do want to talk about fire safety and say that I will never light flames here unattended. I am aware that it has peel and stick and wood around it, so of course we're gonna keep things in the cast iron area. I'm also gonna put down some metal trays. So all in all, following smart fire safe practices, I think this is gonna work out. I think I've been through enough emotionally and physically and spiritually. So let's finally see this beauty in her full glamorous reveal. Well, you guys, this has been a DIY adventure, a DIY disaster, and now a DIY dream. This lighting does not show you how pretty this beautiful mirrored glow is in real life. I will say, now that we've done all this, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna paint the mantle a different color. We also gotta add some sconces. We're gonna style everything differently over time. Oh, but I did wanna share one hack that I was pretty proud of that I did off camera. And that is that I wanted to fit taper candles in here, but it's a really narrow space. And a lot of taper candle holders have very wide bases. So I was trying to find something slender but heavy. So I went to the hardware store and I got these little 3/4 inch end cap plumbing pieces, and they are steel. So if you add a magnet to the bottom, they stick. And then if you magnetize that to cast iron or the metal tray I have down there, look, they stick. So I don't have to worry about them knocking over, and they're really, really narrow and I can fit more in there. I'm not like other girls. My candle holders are made from plumbing materials. Anyways, this has been a journey, and although it is imperfect, we are where we are. I'm so happy that my peel and stick hack worked. I'm so happy my little trim around the edge worked. And most importantly, I'm happy that my little pyro heart can finally live with real live flames. I'm gonna make myself a cup of tea. I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna enjoy my beautiful, lovely new fireplace. Wait, I just noticed I had my AirPods in the whole time. I'm not gonna re-record this.